Мы знаем, что у тебя очень насыщенная программа.
We know he has a very intense program, which is dedicated to all aspects of our bilateral relations, including in trade, economic, investment, and financial spheres. This is especially relevant in the situation Cuba has found itself, our brotherly nation, as a result of the actions of the United States, which, following more than a 70-year blockade, are threatening to further tighten their inhumane and illegitimate actions. Together with the majority of the global community members, we urge the United States to demonstrate common sense, a responsible approach, and to refrain from plans of a naval blockade of the Island of Freedom. And of course, we categorically reject contrived accusations against Russia and Cuba against our cooperation as allegedly posing a threat to the interests of the United States or anyone else. All issues must be resolved solely through dialogue, mutually respectful, aimed at seeking a balance of interests.
We have been proposing a great concern for the deterioration of the international order, which was already unfair and precarious, but which today is being replaced by the practices of the U.S. government on the exploitation and occupation of natural resources, extending the EU's threat to international law, national ignorance, which threatens not only the current order and multilateralism, the Organization of the United Nations and others, but also the sovereignty and security of all states. Without exception. Today we face in Cuba an even greater threat that adds to decades of blockade and is now being hardened by the executive order declaring Cuba an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. Like always, we defend our determination, independence, and sovereignty. We will maintain our unalterable course seeking greater economic efficiency, working tirelessly as before on our economy's recovery, and at the same time we always intend to an appropriate dialogue aiming for equilibrium with any country. Our region today is undergoing very heavy stimulations under difficult conditions, but everything happens with broad consensus and a high level of awareness in response to these problems. Kazakhstan.
I want to once again affirm the absolute unacceptability of the United States' actions, which, as you just reminded us, issued a special order stating that Cuba poses a threat to the national interests of the United States. Yet, in this same order was stated that this threat is exacerbated by your cooperation with us, with Russia, which was labeled in this order as a hostile and malevolent state. We believe all states are obliged to define their national interests in such a manner that they acknowledge and respect the existence of national interests of all others.